But after I fill some cups up, then I'll fill my pan up with warm water so they can soak some up. But I've got 200 plants right here and about another 100 in the greenhouse that I need to put in bigger pots. So I'm going to be trying to figure out exactly which ones I want to do that to. Some of them I can tell are verbena. This might possibly be one of my 5 spots. Or not 5 spots, my hot lips. Anyways, this is a good sign when they all outgrow their pots. Because it's going to be even better when we plant them. So, in the meantime, I have this tub that I'm going to fill with dirt and then soak it with water, preferably warm water, and get it ready to fill all the cups, and then we'll get these started. I'll be back. Well, I've got plants soaking and my soldering iron warming up. I mixed up my dirt, so therefore my hands are all dirty. I got these cups all ready to go. I'm going to try to put them in 3 stacks of 3. Let that hang in there. Yeah, these want to stay together. The reason I'm going to put them in stacks of 3 is because I think I can melt holes through 3 of them at a time. And that will speed up this process. I was able to get 264 cups for $10. And the sturdier ones I was going to get at the store were going to cost $6, almost $7. For 100, and I like these to be a little shorter and a little wider. About the size of the nursery, flower bin, or the nursery, plant nursery's flowers cups. Gives a little more space on the top for the plant to spread out. And if the plant can spread out a little more, then it'll have more leaves, more flowers, and look better. Time to plant. So, we'll see if this is warm. Yeah, I can feel the heat. So I am just going to go straight through there. It just melts through all 4 of them, or all 3 of them. I think 4 holes will be good. You need enough drain holes and enough holes to suck the water up. If I can water them from below, that makes them way better. Keeps the gnats out of their dirt. And fungus from forming on the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and not make you watch me do all of these. I'm going to melt them. I'm going to put the drain holes in. And then I'm going to fill them up with that moist dirt that I mixed water in. And then I will be back. Okay. Well, I have this tray. I soaked it in a pan of water. And got some moisture in this. I mixed in some warm water with a big bucket of dirt. Kind of put an indent in the center of each one. And I use my trusty knife to just slide down inside of these and lift out the plant. This looks like a petunia. I'm going to set these in this box so that I can transport them over to the greenhouse when I'm done. Sorry, my voice is a little croaky today. I just try to bring a little bit of that dirt up around the sides of the plant. Make sure there's no air holes. These are several different kinds of plants. You know, this is a type of purple sage that I planted. And a lot of the salvias are also called sage. They smell like sage a bit, but this will have purple flowers all over it. Some of these are a little yet, and they will survive just fine in that tray. I'll probably consolidate those to the tray. So we don't have 5 trays with just a few little ones in them, but these should be the Calabrosia mini petunia-like plants that have tons of flowers. That hyssop, you can kind of see it had room for more roots to grow, but it's not a lot of room for the plant up top. We're getting a little crowded. Sorry, I moved my camera over into the shade so it wouldn't bake today. It's cool outside, but it's hot in the sun for a camera. And I need my phone to work when I'm done here, so. There's another little teeny one. This hyssop plant, you can see it's got purple here. It's going to have purple flowers. But I've read up on hyssop, and if anybody gets cold sores, or they say that's part of a VD virus. But anyways, if you ever get that, they say it stays in a person's system. And hyssop is something you can make a brew of, like just kind of a strong tea. Put it on a cloth and put it over any of those sores, and supposedly it takes the virus away and kills it. So anyways, it's a useful plant, and it's just called hyssop. I know that there's a lot of different colored flowers. I don't know if it makes a difference, but don't take my word for it. I mean, just Google it yourself and you'll see there's a lot of reports about that. Anyway, these are more round leaves. I expect this to be a bigger petunia. And I got some pretty colors of those. Some that were a mix of purple, pink, and maybe more of a reddish. This should be a calabrosia for the thin leaves. Some of them I seeded in the big tray, and I took 2 out at a time, but when I thinned them, and when they're in groups of 2 like that, they should be the same. This is something weird I saw. I used a little bit of seeding soil that's made just for seedlings and for sprouting seeds. And that soil doesn't stick together and the roots don't seem to want to go down in it. So the rest of it I use Miracle Grow moisture control potting soil. And I like it because it does good things for the flowers. Makes them grow really big and have double blooms, and fills those flower pots really nice. I got zinnias blooming in my greenhouse today. And I looked at that. There's a hummingbird map, hummingbird migration map, and it covers the whole United States. But you can, this looks like one of each kind of petunia. Anyways, you can Google that map and download it or whatever, and people all over the country tell you when hummingbirds get to their yard or when they see what kind of hummingbirds in their town, in their area. And I just looked at it today and realized there's hummingbirds that have been seen in my town and not at my house because I didn't have feeders out yet. So I put out one of my firecracker plants, vermillionaires, in the front and one in the back, and I put them next to a hummingbird feeder on both sides. So if those hummingbirds come to my yard, they will be able to find some food. And I wouldn't be surprised if they've already been here looking, because I have a pretty good flower garden, and as you can tell. In the summer or spring, I usually have flowers, quite a few flowers out in my yard right now blooming for hummingbirds. I put my bigger pots out, reason being, they've already had a bunch of plants taken off of them, and maybe the soil isn't as fertilized as it should be nowadays. I can definitely give some fertilizer to them, but I figured that if they frost, these plants with all the new growth on them, they are going to more than take off and pass up the bigger pots. So I I decided to put the biggest ones out with the most blooms for the hummingbirds now, seeing as how there's only a couple plants. And I will watch the weather. And if the weather looks like it's gonna frost or dip down, I've done this every spring from about, it gets down to as low as maybe 30 degrees, 31. And I leave those flowers out for the hummingbirds. Just don't want them to ever think they came to my yard and didn't have flowers. But anyway, I moved the other birds' food to make room for the hummingbird food and feeders. My husband was a little concerned. He said, "Where did you put their food?" And I said, "Oh, just right on the other side of their little birdhouse." But I have birds nesting in the front yard, and I had an extra feeder for them, and I moved it on the other side of their house just to make sure that the hummingbirds had their food where they find it every year. Because they say that hummingbirds remember every place that they have stopped to eat before in the middle of their migration, on their way north and on their way south. So they remember my yard if they've ever been by here, and they do come back. And they are the cutest little birds, because when they come back, they will fly up to me and greet me. It's like they'll just fly right up in front of my face and just sit and hover for a few minutes and a few seconds. Some of them, it seems like they're there for a few minutes, but I've had them hover probably for as long as 30 seconds in front of me, just making sure I knew that they were back and they were happy. Said it reminded me of kids camp when you get there. You run around real quick and see all your favorite places, and just to make sure that if any of your friends are there, they know you made it. Huh. Those are some little tiny plants, and I don't know what they are, but I can read the label here in the bright light here later. Now some